Hello everybody, it is Agony333, and we're here for another movie review. This time it is a movie called Don't Knock Twice. So, how does this movie compare to other ones that we've reviewed and other films in the horror genre? Well, let's find out. But before I do get into this, I wanted to say a couple things that are special about this particular review. This movie, and as you'll find out later, there is also a game that can be paired alongside it, were recommended to me by a subscriber, Trap Turner. I wanted to thank you for letting me know about this awesome connection. And, not only did I do this for the subscriber and because they mentioned it, but also for me in particular, I've always found it an awesome thing whenever there is a movie and then a game to kind of go alongside it where you can kind of compare the two or see how they relate to each other, how they connect. It's always neat to watch a movie and then go and check out the game and see the cool little nods to each other, or vice versa, play the game and then go check out the movie. So I became interested and I checked this out for Trap Turner and everybody else, as well as my own interest, obviously. But before I really get into this, I wanted to mention a kind of backstory for this movie. So this movie, Don't Knock Twice, was made in 2016. It has an hour and 33-minute runtime and it is rated R. Now, this movie, I believe I remember when it was released, and I've seen it along the way over the years. But this is a movie that fell under the radar. I mean, when there's a lot of horror released, a lot of really good contenders, some movies just don't stand out in the crowd. And that was kind of the case for this. You know, it might have looked kind of interesting, but among all the others that were all there, this movie kind of fell to the wayside. And I actually, funny enough, actually seen the game as well when I was looking through the store, always looking for horror games to play. I seen the game there too, but, I never really saw them side by side. So in a way, I never really made that connection. I never really, noticed that there was these two things that are actually connected. So I wanted to thank you, Trap Turner, and let us finally delve into this. So what is the premise? What is the idea? What is the point? The story of this movie? Well, it centers on a mother whose name is Jess, and basically she, in her past, was an addict, and she has a daughter named Chloe who basically fell into the child care system due to the mother's addiction. And we pretty much come into the story years afterwards where Jess is trying to reconcile differences with the daughter and basically try to rekindle the relationship and start anew and start fresh. And when we get into this, Chloe is not at all, for that. There's other movies that have done this thing where, reluctantly the kid comes back with the parent and, something like that. But this one, she straight up tells the mother, fuck off. But what ends up happening is the daughter, Chloe, ends up saying, no, I don't want to go with you. And her and a friend end up kind of exploring this urban legend, this mysterious house, and there's a person who apparently had lived there before, and there's a legend that if you knock on this person's door twice, that the person will basically rise from the dead and come to get you. And so what happens is Chloe and her friend end up knocking on this door, playing this little game, and it turns out to be true. And so due to fear, she ends up coming back to the mother, seeking some kind of help, some kind of refuge from this witch, basically, is what it is, this thing that's tormenting her. And so that is basically the, summary, synopsis, the idea of this film. That's the basic thing here. A lot of things I'm going to have to explore in spoilers, but let's see what I can get into before I can give my rating. So the first thing I wanted to say is that immediately, like a lot of good horror films, this one opens up with really cool imagery. I really liked the opening credits. It has like these kind of cut out, not figures, but like these kind of cut out templates, if you will. And there's like fire in the background that kind of shines through them. And it gives this really cool look. And you see the door that, you knock on twice. You see the door. You see all this cool imagery with all these flames. And it really goes well along with the cool soundtrack that's there. So it's a really cool, awesome, interesting opening. Let me also get into the house and the landscape, because yeah, when Chloe goes with her mother, you'll get introduced to the mother's home and the kind of surrounding areas. But all of the houses, the landscapes, the different places, the different sets that they end up going to, I thought they were all pretty cool, pretty interesting. In the house, there's this whole like kind of sculpting area because the mother is like an artist. Pretty interesting, neat areas, and it's cool to see them explore these areas and have the witch come after them in these different areas. It's a pretty interesting thing I thought I would mention here. And yeah, I guess really that is all that I can kind of delve into besides getting into more of the spoilers and the other things that I liked about this film. But this is the thing I have to say. At the end of the day, when I watched this film, I enjoyed it, and it was a pretty good film. But what I felt was, when it comes to my rating, I was going to go ahead and give it a 6. Now, for any of you that don't know, 5 is basically average. So I felt this film, while it wasn't the best horror movie out there, it's not the craziest, it's not going to have, incredible levels of awesome stuff. It had some interesting ideas. It had some interesting things that were executed in it. I liked the visuals of the witch were pretty cool and stuff like that. And so that's why I felt like, rather than being high up on the scale, that it was, a little bit above average, to be honest with you, because that's what I want to be in these reviews. I want to be completely honest. And I did enjoy it, though. I did enjoy this movie, and it was pretty cool, like I said. If you wish, you can stick around for later things in the spoilers where I can really kind of delve into what I felt heightened it a little bit. But the thing I thought I should mention before I do that is this film was pretty good, interesting, like I said, a little bit above average. I thought it was pretty cool. It did some cool stuff. But I will say that, whether you view this movie or you think the concept is interesting, or if anything of this looks cool to you, I at least have a feeling as of now. I have not played the game yet, but the initial feeling that I get is that the game will surpass it. That's how I feel because, like I said, the settings are cool, the witch is cool. A lot of this movie had some cool stuff, but when I thought about it after I watched it and the things that I have seen about the game, it really looks like the game will elevate it to a next level because, it's one thing to see these things, and it's another thing to actually uncover the environments yourself and actually be tormented by the witch yourself and to be going through these areas and feeling the atmosphere in a much more intimate setting. So I do say that if any of this piques your interest, definitely look a little more into the game. Check out the movie if you want to. I think a lot of people will maybe enjoy it. Like I said, it's not the best movie out there, but it's a decent one. And so I recommend it if, you're just kind of looking around, wanting, something kind of cool to watch. Check this out. But like I said, be sure to put a little more into at least giving the game a shot because I do feel like the game is where it's at when it comes to the two of these things. So 6 is my review, a little bit above average. And now it is time that I'm going to go into spoilers to share with you what I felt like elevated it a little bit above the average. It wasn't just an average one. It was pretty decent, and I want to share those things with you guys. So let's get into this shit, shall we? All right, so yeah, I mentioned the cool imagery, and that also follows through to later on as well. Like I said, the imagery and stuff in the beginning was cool, the environments and all that. But later on, when you really see the lore about the witch, because it's mentioned that it's Baba Yaga, which is pretty cool. I didn't expect that. I expected to just be contained to like an urban legend, but it actually went into something pretty pretty much more widely known and stuff. This kind of things mentioned in Castlevania and many other things. So I thought that was a cool spin on it. But even the pictures, the other bits of lore, all of that imagery, and then when you see the witch actually pursuing them and around, the design of her is cool. And so that's what I wanted to get into is that, all of that imagery I thought was pretty cool and pretty awesome. Another thing that I thought was kind of humorous, though I figured I would throw in, this is just kind of a humorous thing, is in the beginning when Chloe is coming to the house, like I said, she's scared out of her wits, obviously. I fucking would be too if there's some creepy bitch knocking on my damn door and trying to bust her way in with her fingers like she was. But she comes to the home late at night and knocks on the door, and the husband's response to answering the door is to grab a fucking boot. what the fuck is the boot gonna do, man? He's like hanging this fucking flimsy ass little boot, wanting to. What are you gonna fend off with a fucking boot, dude? Come on, I mean, Jesus Christ. But I thought that was kind of humorous. That gave me kind of a chuckle. I thought I would mention it here as well. I mean, I would have. I don't know anybody who would go for a fucking boot. I mean, a golf club or something like that. That makes more sense. But a boot. But anyways, yeah, humorous things. House and landscape was cool. I liked, like the garden, like I said, the sculpting area, the shots where it was kind of zoomed back and you could kind of see the countryside. The little bits when you do go to kind of Baba Yaga's realm and things like that. The house itself, where the door is at and everything. I mean, to me, all those things were really cool and interesting. They were visually appealing. They made, at least me, like they made you want to kind of explore those things. And that's also why I say the game seems like it's going to be where it's at. Because, I mean, if we get to go into these different environments, I assume they're going to be strong like this. And it'll be much more terrifying to personally explore them rather than just see the characters do it. Another thing here is I liked how, initially when the daughter arrives, I felt like the whole film was going to be in the house. Like a lot of these movies are, where, the daughter's kind of taking refuge in the house and then slowly things progress and just get worse and worse. But what I kind of liked about this is how it didn't do that. It did that for a little bit, but then boom, it changed focus. And Mary was the name of the woman who basically passed and became this witch or something along those lines. And what I liked, though, was how the story and things changed and shift focus into more of an investigative kind of feeling, where it became more about clearing Mary's name. I thought that was interesting, where you got to see them drive around and try delving more into this case to try to find out who was this person in the urban legend who was kidnapping these children. I felt like that was a cool twist to it, rather than just keeping them only in the house, you know what I mean? It was cool to see it just boom and change things up and have her going to these different places, checking these different things out. It was a cool little twist to it. Another thing that I have to put in here was, as we're investigating these things, she ends up crossing paths with a detective who at first, seems all right, seems kind of caring, but as it goes later on, it starts to kind of incriminate him, and as it seems to reveal, he is the one, in fact, who has perpetrated these crimes, and the crimes were basically passed off on Mary. And she was basically, committed suicide for no reason and was harassed by this detective. And I had that feeling, even with the clip, before it was fully revealed. Like, you end up seeing this clip in the studio. This clip kind of thing is left for Jess to check out when she's investigating these things. And you see this clip, and you see a really darker side to the detective. And so it really makes it convincing. Like I said, I mean, I immediately was like, oh shit, it might be him. And I immediately had that feeling. So when the other bits kind of came in to further push that about, it made it convincing. And the reason I like that was not only, how it had some twists and turns there, but we'll also be getting into that a little bit later on as well. As in right now, the last twist was clever in how it flipped things around. Because, we felt like there was a twist there, and it felt convincing, but then boom, at the very last second, things twisted around again, and there was an actual second twist there, which I felt was another thing that kept things interesting and was a cool moment to it. And it's these things like that that made me feel like it was a little bit above average. Like I said, I liked the design of the witch. I liked the places that it went to, and I like how it kept things changing up, even up until like the final moments. It was just throwing this at you and like, oh shit, because I mean, there were parts where maybe you could have guessed this or that, but it was interesting to still kind of follow along with them on their journey to trying to solve all these problems. It was pretty cool. But actually, I tried to look up some trivia, but I couldn't really find all that much. But yeah, I believe that is actually about all that I have to cover. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would like to say, but I don't believe there is. Like I said, I felt like this was, if it hadn't had some of those moments, it would have probably been just kind of more an average one. But to me, the different twists, different cool little interesting things that it added, kept it kind of fresh and kept it cool. And when we got to see, kind of more of the normal things where the witches just tormenting, they were done effectively. They were done cool. But the final thing, like I have mentioned other times, is I do definitely feel like the game is going to surpass it. Because, I mean, this film was decent. It was cool. But I have a big feeling that the game is going to be much more effective going into these locales, these areas, dealing with Baba Yaga, the creepy witch, and what kind of things that can muster up. I don't know if we're going to be investigating things. But yeah, that also kind of lends to, I definitely do at some point wish to cover this game, do a Let's Play or something, because it's piqued my interest. I mean, the moment I knew there was a connection, it was pretty cool. So yeah, that's basically the final things I wanted to say. So if this movie did sound interesting to you, I definitely say give it a check out. It's not going to blow your mind and do, amazing, awesome, badass, like crazy stuff, but it is a decent, enjoyable watch and does some cool, interesting things. And like I also said, definitely look a little into the game because I feel like personally going into it is going to be even cooler than watching it. And I mean, watching it was cool, but it's going to be even better actually going into this awesome environment in this world and all this lore and cool stuff. I know that the game's only kind of like loosely based on the movie, but like I said, it still definitely looks very promising. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope those of you that checked out Don't Knock Twice, I hope you enjoyed that as well. And I hope those of you that have played the game or have gotten interested, I hope you check the game out, and I hope you like that as well. Like I said, at some point, I will be checking this cool game out because it looks badass as fuck. But this is all the time I have for today. I will see you guys next time in the next Let's Play, in the next video, whatever it is that I do. And I hope you're all having a fantastic, wonderful, amazing, splendid, awesome fucking day. I will see you guys next time. This is Agony333 signing the fuck out. Peace, folks. Have a great one.